What is up, my YouTube people? Northeast Ohio Sports Cards here to talk not about sports cards. Today, we're going to talk about diversifying a little bit, and also the main purpose of this is we're going to get a little speculative today. So the recent craze has been in the whole non-sports card stuff, the Marvel cards popping off, WWF, WWE, all that stuff. G.I. Joe, whatever. Pick the thing. It's gone crazy. I personally think that there's one market that has already been extremely hot. So it's not like you're buying in low on this one. But I feel like it has the potential to go to the next level. Like even explode more than it already has. And this is a little, I don't know how dangerous it is because it's a fairly well-established market. It's not like it's going to crater out. It would probably have the same likelihood of cratering out as much as the sports card market does. But it's just risky because you're not getting in cheap. Like you're paying going market rates, but I don't know. I almost feel like the going market rate should be higher. Now, I'm also going to preface this by, please, for the love of everything, don't just dive into this without doing your research. I am by no means an expert on this. I have dabbled and I have loosely followed what's been going on over there for the last probably year plus. But I made my first big move this past week. I had been buying some stuff, but I made a major play, if you will, to buy a more expensive thing in this market. And that market is graded comic books, specifically Cgc 9.8. So for you sports card people, a Cgc 9.8 is a PSA 10. So just equate the two of those together. So comic book guys, if I get some stuff wrong here, feel free to correct me down below. Like I said, I am not immersed in this as I am in sports cards. I am just looking at this and reading the room. So first, let's get to what did I buy? And I'm going to talk about why and why I think this market's poised to level up, if you will. So the play that I made, if you will, New Mutants 98, Cgc 9.8. This one has a custom Deadpool label on it. Kind of a cool thing CGC does. They put custom labels in some cases. Sorry. Graded comic books are really hard to show on camera. Don't have a good setup for it. So that little Deadpool holding the 9.9, please, is not going to be on every single comic book. But certain books you can get custom labels on. So for those uninitiated in the sports card world that, maybe you watch Ryan Reynolds chop some people's heads off, New Mutants 98 is the first appearance of Deadpool. It's the first time he ever appeared in the comic book, and it's kind of a double bonus because he also appears on the cover. Why did I choose this one in particular? One, it was in the price range I was looking to spend. I had a few things on my list, and this one came across at a very good deal, what I thought, based off current market prices. I bought it off eBay. The seller was great. I will not reveal his name because I did not check with him first, but it was in a Facebook group, and he was fantastic to work with. Absolutely fantastic. Could not have been more pleased. So I sold I sold a Zion and I sold something else to move into this. Plus I had some money laying around from basically I sold some sports cards that I basically did not care about to fund this purchase. And like I said, I had a list of things I was considering, but this one popped up. The price was right, so I pounced. So why do I think there's potential for this to go to the next level? As we've recently seen, The evil sports card investors, yes, myself included, have turned the evil eye of Sauron onto the Marvel trading card market and are beginning to pillage and ravage it. There's a lot of nostalgia for that, low population counts, etc., etc., etc. So why do I think comics could go to the next level? It all comes down to pop counts, to steal the term from sports cards, or the CGC Census, to use the comic book term for it. In the comic book world, stuff in the low thousands is considered to be a decent amount. New Mutants 98, for example, has a CGC Census of just over 3,300, 3,349 to be specific. I am not going to get into different label colors. This is a blue label, which is basically their standard. There are multiple other different labels. Like if it's autographed, the label is yellow. It's a whole thing. I am not going to sit here and pretend I know enough to get by. There are better channels out there to educate yourself on. So this is not an educational, everything you need to know about comic books. This is why I think this market could potentially be the next thing to pop off more than it already has. And to be fair, their market's going just as crazy as the sports card market was. As the sports card market went nuts the past year during COVID, the comic book market's done the same thing, both in modern and in classic keys. Keys, for the non-comic book people, are key issues or important issues, which New Mutants 98 is, first appearance of Deadpool. So from the sports card world, you know, we run around and grab Zions up left and right and freak out about Tatum's and Jaws and Lukas and Trey's. And their population counts on a PSA 10 Prism, Luka is 15,000. Okay. 15,000. Population count on this, 3,300. Here's the other thing. If you want a Luka rookie, you have options. You could go with Prism. You can go with a silver. You can go with his optic. You can go with an optic purple. You can go with a status for a lower end. You can optic hollow, select courtside, select premier, select silver, die cut. You get the point. If you want a Luka rookie, you have a billion different options and a billion different population counts. Plenty of stuff out there to go get. There's only one Deadpool first appearance. New Mutants 98. There's not a silver version of this. There's not a ruby red. There's not a numbered version. The only thing that they have, and I'm not going to go into a deep dive on this, is newsstand versus direct. That's a whole nother thing. Once again, please do your education on that. But it's essentially the same issue. Newsstand commands a much higher value. But that's included in the CGC Census at 3,350. They don't separate the two out. So if I want a Luka rookie, the world is my oyster. If I want a Deadpool first appearance, New Mutants 98, there's 3,000 of them. That's it. Full stop. And this is viewed, and once again, comic book people, please correct me, as a higher population count book, if you will, in the CGC 9.8. You know, over 3,000, 4,000, anything in that range, that market views that as a high number. Now, they still command respect. And like I said, this has already gone up in price a lot this last year. I remember looking at these last year when they were like $600 or $700. And they've really spiked up lately. These go for, and I did not pay this much for it. I think two auctions ended on eBay, or two listings ended on eBay yesterday. One auction, one buy it now. When I say yesterday, I actually mean Saturday. For $1,700, give or take. Now, that's a lot. Don't get me wrong. But my thought is the sports card world has taken notice to the Marvel market to a degree. Not fully yet, but they're thinking about it. It's getting talked about. The next logical leap is just to go after comic books. We've seen the run happen lately. Hulk Hogan cards going crazy. All-time great stuff in low population counts in the collectible world, going for insane amounts of money. I don't know why it won't transfer over to comics. It seems like the logical next step, and maybe it already has, and I'm late to the party. But I feel like the sports card world has not looked at this seriously yet, or they've dabbled. And once again, 3,000 sounds like a lot if the comic book market stays the comic book market. But it doesn't take much of an influx from the sports card world to wanting to start gobbling these up. And then, boom, when you have that low a supply, to the moon we go. The other reason I particularly picked this one, I was focused specifically on late 80s and early 90s key issues. And this goes back to the Marvel trading card thing. The reason 90 Marvel Universe, 92 Marvel Masterpiece, 91 Series 2, 92 X-Men Jim Lee are going crazy is because it's what all the people collected that have massive amounts of disposable income right now and are some of the key drivers of the sports card market, 35 to 45, bought when they were kids. So when they come back over, like I'm assuming, I believe their focus will be on stuff, myself included, collected as kids. Plus, added benefit, Deadpool's in the news. He has a new movie coming out. He's going to be in the MCU. Now, the movie news stuff, that drives a lot of comic book prices. But I think some of that could get pushed aside if the sports card people come in. A lot of Spider-Man stuff super high right now. That's obviously because there's more Spider-Man movies coming. Whatever. But there's tons of examples out there that we could get into with low population count stuff that when you look at the numbers and you just compare it, when you look at the Cgc Census numbers in 9.8 and you compare them to pop counts of PSA 10 popular players, and I understand it's not apples to apples, but that's just where my logic is. The numbers are so small. So let's pop over to the Cgc Census really quick. So here is the Cgc Census on New Mutants 98. Once again, Cgc 9.8. There are 3,300 of them. So let's look at some other ones that I was considering that I had in the short list of things to go after on the 90s. And there is plenty of examples out there. And once again, do your research. Amazing Spider-Man 361, first appearance of Carnage. I had this on my radar a while ago. I kind of forgot about it. I wish I didn't, because these have gotten super expensive lately. And I'm not necessarily going to get in the prices on a lot of this stuff. You guys can look that up on your own. I'm just throwing out the reasons why I think that this market could level up. So first appearance of Carnage. Carnage is going to be in a movie. Carnage is super popular. Spider-Man's super popular. How many of these exist? 4,000. Now, this is viewed as an extremely high population count book, and that's still only 4,000 of them exist. The classic cover, Carnage fighting Spider-Man on the cover. Anytime the first appearance is on the cover is a big deal, like we talked about with New Mutants 98. And 4,000 of them exist, and that is considered a large number. Zion PSA 10s have 15,000 pop count, and people go wild for them. And once again, I understand the sports world is not necessarily the comic world, and that this is not direct comparisons. But when you just look at the craze for the highest grade collectibles, those numbers seem small to me. Let's look at another one. X-Men 266, first appearance of Gambit. Everyone's favorite Raging Cajun X-Men. 2,741 of these exist. Also considered a relatively higher population count comic book. How about this one? This one's a different story. But I included this on the list because I think even as much as this has gone up, this could get crazier. Amazing Spider-Man 300. And this one's gone crazy. 9.8, first appearance of Venom. Venom, one of the most popular characters in Marvel right now. Obviously has his own movie, getting a second one, and it's probably only a matter of time before we see him and Tom Holland duking it out on the big screen at some point in time. There are 1,000 of these on the CGC Census, and this is a very expensive comic book at around $5,000 to $6,000, I think, is around current comps on this. There's only 1,000 of them. And once again, it's not like sports cards where if you want a Lucas Silver Prism, you could go get a select Silver Prism or an Optic Hollow or a select Concourse Silver or whatever. It's not like you have other options. If you want the first appearance of Venom, that's it. There's 1,000 of them. There are no other options, no other parallels, no other sets to get of that particular player. That's it. 1,000 of them in existence. It is a 1 of 1,000. And some of the stuff gets even crazier. I'm going to make the camera bigger. And these are not key issues at all. These are not like what the comic book people would consider investment level books. These are just some things that I picked up in my personal collection because I'm a big fan of the X-Men. And now the X-Men are coming to the MCU. So we have X-Men number 11 from the 92 Jim Lee run. This is not a key issue. It is not a first appearance of anyone. But the reason that I got it is considered one of the classic modern X-Men covers. So in addition to first appearances, cover art matters a lot. That is my X-Men. This is the X-Men that I grew up on, and a lot of people around my age grew up on. Is the Jim Lee X-Men run. And like I said, that is viewed as one of the classic Jim Lee X-Men covers. CGC 9.8. Guess how many of these exist? And this is relative. You could get this for, I don't know, $150, $175. It's not expensive. But guess how many of these exist? 156. That's it. 156 in a CGC 9.8. Once again, not necessarily considered a key by any means, but a classic, absolute classic cover of modern X-Men. And like I said, I don't think this is like a big investment thing. This is more PC, if you will. But I'm just using this as an example for how low some of these population counts are on some of this comic book stuff. So I would recommend, once again, 100% do your homework before you just dive into a brand new thing. But I really think comics could potentially level up. Another classic X-Men. And this is the X-Men that I was introduced to as a kid. This particular team. Classic X-Men number 1. Once again, not a key book by any means. It's essentially like a reprint series where it's retelling classic X-Men stories, or it might even be exactly one for one. The point is that cover was extremely popular. You see that cover art on everything. It's on t-shirts. It's on posters. That thing was around everywhere. And when I grew up in the late 80s into the 90s, that was the X-Men team I was initially introduced to, and then which led me into the Jim Lee X-Men team. I absolutely adore this cover as an X-Men fan and love having this on display in a CGC 9.8. Guess how many of these exist? 39. 39. 1 of 39. Think about that in the sports card world. Once again, this is not a first appearance, so this is a little trickier. But if you really want this, say we'll equate this to, I don't know, a LeBron Lakers jersey. I don't know. I'm just making this stuff off the top of my head. LeBron Lakers jersey prism. It's not his rookie. It's just, a nice looking card. And only 39 of them exist. When you dig into the CGC Census, some of these numbers are so low. And if the sports card people cometh, As we all know, they want the highest grade that they can get. And if it's in a low pop count, more power to them. Now, do I think every CGC 9.8 with a low population count is going to go crazy? No. Do your homework, find the key issues, figure out which ones you think have a chance to pop off. And I'm looking to make some moves. And on this one, I put my money where my mouth is. I bought a $1,200 comic book. That New Mutants 98 set me back $1,200 is what that was. So I am in it with my wallet. We will see where it goes. Now I got a good deal on that. The sports card market could never come. The comic market could keep just doing its thing. And I'm probably going to turn out okay on that. Unless the entire bottom falls out. And if the entire bottom falls out, then, you know, sports card people are screwed. Comic book people are screwed. We're all screwed. Because for sports cards to fail or the comic market to fail means the entire collectible market is tanked. But that's where my headspace is at. And like I said, the journey into the Marvel trading cards has led me down this path. And I have to imagine I am not the only one. I can't be the only person that has been collecting and investing in sports cards this last couple of years. Kind of got hooked by the Marvel stuff and then led me to this place to buy a $1,200 copy of New Mutants 98. So let me know what you guys think. Are you with me? Am I crazy? We'll see. But that's all I got for you guys today. We will catch you guys on the next one. Peace.